So, to sort this out, he continued, we'll be drilling today. Could we do recognition points? Kindan piped up suddenly. The rest of the wing glanced his way and then murmured in agreement. Jalanter couldn't believe it. He could never get his wing to drill on recognition points. From all around Pern, Jatrell added, we'd like that. You would you? Jalanter said sourly. That was exactly what he'd planned to do with his wing, to teach them a lesson. Well, several lessons. Drilling in recognition points was tiring, dull work that Dragonriders usually preferred to avoid. He was surprised that his riders were so eager for the work, and a little suspicious. But, as he had no other plans sufficiently punitive in mind, he could only assent. All around, Pern, eh? He repeated. Just remember that you asked for it. Could we feed the dragons first? Kindan asked. They're very hungry. Jalanter murmured. The dragons had been fed the day before. Dragons typically ate only once a week. He glanced again at his wing riders and noticed how tired they were. He glared at Jatrell, but the blue rider merely shrugged. There was no sense in punishing the dragons for their riders' lapses, Jalanter decided. Very well. You can feed your dragons and rest for the remainder of today. His riders gave him astonished and grateful looks. Tomorrow, he continued, before first light, we'll start drilling on recognition points. Jalanter turned and stalked off, already anticipating a grilling from Weir leader Sarayan. Wing leaders were not supposed to lose their wings for a 7-day. As it was, he didn't bother to turn back again when one of his riders murmured, He said he'd be like this. And another answered, But it was worth it. Chapter 1. White robe, high hopes, hatching grounds, tight throats. Sands heat, eggs move, shells crack, hearts prove. High reaches Weir. After landing, 495.8. Put this on, Devin said to Kristoff as they rushed to the hatching grounds. The white robe was the traditional garb for candidates, as every child on Pern knew from the teaching ballads. Kristoff suddenly realized that his heart was racing, his throat dry. In not much longer than it took Devin's bronze dragon to go between, no more time than it took to cough 3 times, Kristoff went from being a miner recovering from an injury to being a candidate for a hatching. This can't be happening, he thought. It should have been Peller. Peller was the mute Harper who had rescued Kristoff when his mine had collapsed, had saved Kristoff when Tenim had purposely exploded the old Firestone mine, and who had had a fire lizard before Tenim's hunting bird had killed it, and had nearly killed Peller as well. Peller deserved to be a candidate. But Peller had insisted upon remaining at the newly named Firehold to help the young holdless girl, Halla, manage the Shund of Pern to redeem their honor by mining the Firestone of Pern. Kristoff! The voice, close by his ear, startled him. You're here! Excellent! Kristoff's eyes widened as he recognized Kindan. Turns back, he and Kindan had been enemies. Back then, Kristoff had despised watchwares, just as he'd been taught by his father. Kindan's father had been a ware-handler, a person bonded to the ugly night-loving creatures who were only distant cousins to the great dragons that protected Pern. Infected by his father's attitudes, Kristoff had despised Kindan, and they'd fought many times as youngsters. In the end, however, Kristoff had realized that it was Kindan who had been right, and his father who had been wrong. And Kristoff had found himself, at an early age, making a grown man's choice and doing what was right instead of what was expected. He'd even come to regard the ugly watchwares with huge respect, bordering on awe.